Hello from Technoland. This is John Lair, Mr. Lair, or however you decide to address me. For those of you who may be new to Apollo High School, this may not be what you're expecting to see when I come back. For those of you who are not new to Apollo High School, this may not be what you expected to see. Now, what did you expect to see? Maybe something like this. Oh, yeah, that's me. That is totally 100% me. Why y'all laughing? That's definitely me. Just bring it. We got this, right? Okay, realistically, when I do come back in January, this should be what you see walking in the door instead of this bald beautifulness, even though Mr. Deitch thinks that I need to keep the bald head. This is what I hope to come back to in January. But this is kind of more along the lines of who I am and what to expect from me. I'm really attached to my students. I take lots of fun pictures with them, and yeah, that's me. I made that face right there. I did that. Sorry, that's definitely me though. And I'm not the only one. My students do the same thing. They are the smartest, goofiest, weirdest people you are ever going to come across in this school building, but I love them all the same. They do some really stupid things, kind of like me, but I love to catch them in the act and catch pictures of it. But I am very much looking forward to coming back to this in January. So hopefully that'll be the case, and we'll see how that goes. But that's not what this video is supposed to be about. This video is supposed to be our opening day technology. So once again, I am John Lair, Mr. Lair, whatever. I am your school technology coordinator for this year. A quick overview of what we're going to go over here in these next few minutes, which for those of you who were here last year, you're like, wait a minute, this looks kind of similar. Well, it is, because we're using a lot of the same kind of stuff. So I'll do a very quick Infinite Campus review. Remember, there are lots of veteran teachers around that can help if you're new to our school or our school system. Some of the things just to remind you about with Google Classroom that are very important as we start a brand new school year. A very brief conversation of, yes, we still will have GradeCam. It'll be another one of those more on those later kind of things. We're working some details out right now about that. Our favorite thing to ever talk about, digital citizenship, has not gone away. It is still state mandated. It is extremely important. And there will be more on that later as well. And a little brief reminder of what your CDC is in the school building, which is your classroom display computer and those Lightspeed microphone or classroom audio systems that everybody loves to use because they sound so good. So Infinite Campus. We say it's a new look, but this new look came out 2 years ago. It's really not new anymore. In fact, some of y'all were pretty upset, as was I, when I was playing with Infinite Campus over the summer, just about a week or so ago, maybe a month even ago, and suddenly the new look went away and it went back to the old stuff, and there wasn't even an option for a new look. That should be back. It should be fixed. If not, I will try to be on top of that. Please let me know if it's not there for you. And we'll try to get that worked out. So what does the new look give us if you're not used to that in Infinite Campus, or if you know that it's there, but you still aren't using it to its fullest? Favorites. Favorites, favorites, favorites. I log in as you people all the time. Y'all ask me questions. I log in as you, and I'm like, you still don't have your favorites set up. I'm going to set one up for you because it's awesome. It makes it so much easier. Y'all see that star right there in the middle? Instead of going through the main menu with the 100 different items and every little thing, when you find something you use, particularly on a daily basis, click the star next to the words, the little bitty one, the one that I have the arrow pointing at. And then when you see the star over on the left-hand side of the screen, when you click that, it now shows those things that you have starred. Well, what if you starred them in a weird order? You can edit that order and put whatever you want on top. Some of y'all are doing a great job of this, and it really is making your lives easier. It makes my life easier when I log in as you, so I don't have to remember where to find all that stuff in the menus. But please be sure to use that new look favorites thing. It really does make a big difference. Okay. Again, if you want to rearrange them, it's just a matter of dragging and dropping. Once you do, click on edit and save, and you're all set to go. Now, here at Apollo, we have modified block. This is, I believe, our third year for modified block. Correct me if I'm wrong, Keith Johnson. I'm sure he knows off the top of his head. And there he goes. Thank you very much. That was a guess, but I'm sure he spoke up. Modified block means that not all classes are made the same. Some of them are 45 minutes long, and some of them are 80 minutes long. Some of them post grades every 9 weeks. Some of them post grades every 18 weeks. If you're new to this, this may sound like a lot. For some people, it's still a lot. For some people, we've all gotten used to it. It has given our students and teachers a lot of flexibility in what we offer and how we offer it. But along with that comes some things that you are responsible for setting up in Infinite Campus. That begins with cumulative grading and a few other things. So we got to have that conversation, that first, second, fifth, sixth concept. If it is first period, second period, fifth period, or sixth period, these are the quote unquote skinny classes. Skinny classes, meaning that they're 45 minutes long, that they are not the really long classes, that they don't post a half a credit every 9 weeks. It takes 18 weeks to get to a half a credit before anything officially goes to the transcript. So again, that's first, second, fifth, and sixth. Now this revolves around our grade calc options. What do we need to do as individual teachers in our grade calc options to set up our grade books for a brand new school year? You've got to set up your term grades. You've got to set up the type of grade that is. The term grade is an in-progress grade. If you don't make it an in-progress grade, parents and students can't see it, guidance counselors can't see it, and you will be let known that you didn't put together your grade book correctly. At which point you're going to have to either rewatch this video, contact me, or find somebody else that can help you get that fixed. We are using one and only one grading scale for everything. There are probably 20, 30 different grading scales in there. We only care about the one at the very top. They've numbered it 001 so that it shows up right there at the top. 001 DCPS standard. That's the grading scale we want to use. We want to weight our categories. This was something that I really stressed last year. It was a departmental-wide consistency thing. It was a school-wide thing that everybody is using categories and weighting the categories so you don't have to play the numbers game of if I assigned this many points to this assignment and that many points to that assignment, but I wanted this test or quiz to be worth more than those assignments. Weighted categories solves all of those problems. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a second. Now, cumulative grading is a result of our modified block. In our school, our grades get calculated for the transcript as 80%. 80% of that grade that goes to transcript is calculated on the term grade. But if it takes 18 weeks, how does that happen? Cumulative grading. Depends on when you're starting it. Now, if you're only going to set up the first 9 weeks and you're not even going to look at second, third, and fourth 9 weeks, fine. Rewatch these videos later. But if you're going to start off with just the first 9 weeks, that cumulative grading must start in, so check the box for it, yes, and start in first term for first term. If you're looking at second term, that cumulative grading also starts in first term. That means all of those points that you put in all of first 9 weeks need to exist as part of the grade, an ongoing grade in the second 9 weeks before it goes to transcript. That makes up your 80% of the overall grade. Now, if you're going to go ahead and set up the whole school year, if you're one of my people that loves to get the whole grade book set up, and I love you if you're one of those people, when you look at third term, notice the color change. Third term, the cumulative grading is still being checked for term grade, but that cumulative grade starts in third term. Now, some of y'all were making some of those mistakes last year. We got those corrected. Let's get that all set up the right way the first time this year, and we won't have those questions of, I don't understand why this grade is showing like that when I've only put in one grade in third 9 weeks. Third term accumulates points starting in third term. It's a brand new half credit. Fourth term acts kind of like the second term of the second semester. So it is accumulating its grades from the beginning of the third 9 weeks all the way through to the end of the fourth 9 weeks. Okay. Now, exam and final grade. Don't worry, this is a video. You can watch it later. I know I'm going fast. Exam and final grades, these are things that make up the rest of that calculated grade that goes to transcript. When a class earns a half a credit, we're talking first, second, fifth, and sixth periods specifically right now. Those short or skinny classes, first, second, fifth, and sixth only. These will have an exam We've got to get rid of these terms, midterm versus final exam. There is only one exam, period. If it is going to the transcript, if it is being calculated as a half credit, it's an exam. There is a 20% site-based council required exam you must give. Every class has to give it. It's worth 20%. All of those cumulated scores in the term grade make up 80. This exam makes up 20. Those will only happen in second and fourth term. When you go to grade calc options, you'll notice that exam grade only exists for second and fourth term. What are we doing? This is when it earns a half a credit. It only needs a couple of settings. You just have to state it is an in-progress grade. We're choosing 001 DCPS standard grading scale, and that's it. Categories, we still need to make sure that when it comes to our categories, we have department-wide consistency, okay? So if you're in the world language department, you guys get to decide what your categories are, how many there are, and what values each category have. If you're in the mathematics department, you guys as a department get to decide how many categories, what are they worth. But every class within a department needs to have the same categories with the same values, so we have department-wide consistency. You don't need my permission to change those things. I'm not the one that governs that. Your department heads and your departments as a group need to make those decisions. They just need to be consistent across your department. The only thing I will caution you on is if you do decide to make some changes, make sure that those categories add up to 100% or some really wacky stuff happens when we go to see what that term grade should be. And y'all start calling me and emailing me, can you take a look at this? This doesn't make any sense. That's usually the email that I get from guidance. But, make sure they add up to 100%. All of your categories, every department gets to decide what categories, how many categories, how much they're worth, but you have to have them, has to be department-wide consistent, and it has to add up to 100%. Whether that's first, second, fifth, sixth, or third, fourth, it doesn't matter. Categories are categories. Okay. Now that kind of brings up the idea. Well, what is the deal with third and fourth? How are third and fourth different? Third and fourth periods are, well, they're that term that nobody likes to use. They're fat. They're the fat classes versus the skinny classes. They're longer. We are supposed to be able to cover vastly more amounts of material in these classes, third and fourth period, than we are the other classes. That also means they're going to earn a half a credit a whole lot faster. They earn a half a credit in 9 weeks. It only takes 9 weeks to get a half a credit. So what does that mean? Well, that means that every single 9 weeks for third and fourth period, we're going to go to our grade calc options, set up the type to be in progress, set up the grading scale, the same one, 001, DCPS standard. We are still weighting categories. It doesn't make any difference. Categories are categories are categories are categories. We have them. They're consistent across our department. We're weighting them so that it balances our points appropriately. However, there's no cumulative grading, because it posts to the transcript every 9 weeks. There's no carryover from first 9 weeks into second 9 weeks in a third or fourth period class. Now, some of y'all are saying, hang on, Mr. Lair, what about? Yes, I know. There are some rare, and I do mean rare, exceptions to this rule. Those typically are going to be your college credit-bearing courses. Those that are AP courses sometimes have to do it that way. We've all had those discussions. You and I, guidance and I, we've gotten together and decided which ones specifically are set up that way, and they are rare. For most of you all, third and fourth period, there is no cumulative grading. We do still have to set up exam and final grades. Why? Because we have an exam every 9 weeks in third and fourth period. Every 9 weeks. It's not a midterm exam. It's not a final exam. It is an exam, because you've got the 80%, 20% splitting out at the end of the 9 weeks, because these classes meet for a longer period of time every day. Same deal with exam and final, in progress, DCPS standard, no big deal. Normally, this would be the point where I'd say, hey, you know what? If you're new or you just want me to look over your stuff, Come see me in my room, 8:35 from 1:30 to 2:30 on Tuesday, August 9th. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about and I'll help you out. Well, that can't happen this year because I'm still stuck at home and will be all of first semester. So now what? I can still help you. I can still answer emails. Some of y'all have called me over the summer, and that's fine. You've texted me. I am bored when I have nothing to do. So please don't hesitate to ask me questions. I'm definitely a person that likes to do something, but I'm not going to be there physically in the building. So what did we do? We went out and recruited. Who'd we recruit? You need to look around and find these people, Jonathan Poff and Josh Jackson. Yes, I rated your Facebook pictures and I found you on Facebook. But these are the guys you're going to be looking for in the building who can help you with your Infinite Campus, with your Google Classroom, with other technology questions until I return in January. Now, that doesn't mean you still can't go talk to them if you've gotten comfortable with them and you want to keep asking them questions. Keep asking them questions. They'll love it. I sure do. So let's keep going. What about Google Classroom? It's a brand new year. If you're brand new to the building, your Google Classroom is completely blank and you're starting from scratch, and that's great. But what if you're not? What if you were here last year and we want to do some stuff? Okay. We've got these weird emails that say little sis. What the heck is little sis, and why are there little duckies coming into my inbox? Well, sis is student information system. Little sis, why it's little sis, I have no idea. But student information system is how Infinite Campus rosters populate our Google Classrooms with our students. It also is how we get assigned classes. Now, some of our classes are probably already there by the time you guys watch this video. I did it earlier today, and some of my classes were there, and none of my students were there. I had this little thing to greet me in Google Classroom. Do you want to accept this class? Do you want to accept this class? Do you want to accept this class? And of course you do. You want to accept all of those. Those are all important because Little Sis has updated your classes for you. Accept them. Those came from Infinite Campus. If you do not accept them, if you decline them, or if you've already declined them, you get to do a little more work. So please don't require yourself to do more work. Accept these classes, accept the automated process so that your classes are there, and eventually your students will be there as well. Right now, at least at this moment, today is Sunday, July 31st, when I'm recording this video. There are no students in there. And I bugged people over at central office, when are the students going to be there, so that I can tell my staff exactly when they should expect them. I was told a week from tomorrow. Well, tomorrow is August 1st, and a week from tomorrow, obviously, would be August 8th. So supposedly by August 8th, I don't know when you guys are watching this. I haven't kept up with the dates because, well, I'm stuck at home. But anyway, there should be students there before you start the school day on August 10th, the first day of school. So do not go and try to add those yourself. I said populated August 10th. I took a wild guess. I was told it should be by August 8th. Who knows? Either way, don't put them in manually. They'll do it themselves. It will automatically come in. It will automatically remove themselves too if for some reason they have left our school. Okay. Now, you can, on the other hand, once you've accepted your new Google classes, add any co-teachers. This is a really handy thing to have in Google Classroom if you are co-teaching with anyone else. You can add them as a teacher in the People tab to your class, and you both have access to it all the time. Me being me, for those of you who don't know me, this may not make a whole lot of sense. Everybody who does know me, my classes, even though I'm not going to be there, and I've left them in the very capable hands of Mr. Dustin Winslow, Miss Michelle Pagan, and Mr. John Hay. I'm very, very thankful for these three to fill in for me. I will be adding myself to those classes, and if I'm not there, I'm going to make sure that I do get added, because I'm going to keep my eyes on those classes the whole time I'm out and about in Technoland. But you can do this even if you have a co-teacher. I get to be the invisible co-teacher to these classes. It'll be tons of fun for them. But you're going to want to make sure, again, accept the classes. Students should be in there soon. Add co-teachers when you can. Okay, let's talk about something else with Google Classroom. Again, if you were here last year, you hopefully had everything in Google Classroom. Every little piece of information you presented to your students, every assignment you created for your students. Maybe you even made some assessments in Google Classroom. There are some really interesting ways to make assessments. Google Forms is not the best way for those of you who are doing that. There are much better options. We will talk about that sometime later this year. But if you have last year's stuff, don't recreate it. Use it again. How are you going to do that? You're going to navigate to the classwork tab. When you go to click the create button, there is an option for reuse post. Now, when you want to reuse the post, this is keeping you from having to reinvent whatever you did last year. I did this a lot last year, actually. 2 years ago, I moved everything I had over to Google Classroom. And then last year, I reused a lot of my same stuff, but then I modified it. You're not stuck with exactly how it was last year. If you just loved it and you just want to like copy paste it and stamp it and say it's good, wonderful. That isn't me. Everything I do, I can do better. So if I had something from last year, that's a starting point, but I don't want to start from scratch. So I'm going to reuse that post. What does that look like? There's that little blue create button. Again, this is on the classwork tab. On the blue create button, the second to last option is reuse post. When you go to reuse post, all of your classes are going to be listed. Now, I'm going to tell you, I have last year's classes still showing up, but I did something sneaky. If you notice very carefully, Principles of Engineering is a class that I teach every year, or POE. I went back at the end of the year. I changed the name to be something that only I get. It's very, very brief, just POE. I know exactly what it is. And I changed the section. Section is a class detail that I changed to last year's school year, 2021-2022, because then when I'm looking to reuse a post, I can specify I want to reuse the post from the 2021-2022 year of my POE class. And what do I get? I get a list of all my assignments that I put together in that class. And now I can just say, yep, reuse that, modify, improve, send it to the students, and off I go. And it didn't take me nearly as much work as it did last year or the year before that. It's way easier. When you reuse your post, it's going to recreate your topics as well. Now, everybody has their own opinions on topics. I personally really like the idea of this is what I want to do week 1. So I've literally created a topic for every week, for every class, for the entire year. Here's week number 1, short description of what it is. And I want to just start off the class. What'd you do this summer? I want to get to know my students. I love this little assignment. Steal it if you want to. I make my students use Screencastify so that I can see them, hear them. They do it at home. Students who never talk will actually talk because they're used to social media. Great little assignment to start it off with the year. It's simple for them to do, and it gets them into the idea of I did something in class. I have something to do at home. It's worth something in class, and I immediately get a grade. And most of my kids start off the year with an A, because how do you screw up talking about what you did over the summer, right? Okay, let's get into the third and final thing with Google Classroom. We've got some basic settings that we need to change. This is every year, every single time, even sometimes in new 9 weeks, or especially new semesters. You're going to be accepting new classes. You're going to have a brand new class section, and you're going to have to set up these basic settings, such as the first thing is renaming your course. For heaven's sakes, those names are awful. They come in from whatever it's called in Infinite Campus. Well, what do I mean rename the course? We're going to rename the course to make it look like something that makes sense to them. I'll show you that here in a second. We're also going to link Google Class Gradebook, where I'm putting my grades into Google Classroom, to my Infinite Campus Gradebook, so I don't have to type both of them in twice. I don't have to type them in Google Classroom and then type them in Infinite Campus. I can link the Google Classroom Gradebook to the Infinite Campus Gradebook, and I can automatically have it shifted over. It's not as bad as it sounds. We'll see who that is. Something else you need to do in basic settings: who can post in the stream? For heaven's sakes, if you let your students post to the stream, maybe you've got a really good group of students. I don't trust mine. Did you see my kid with his head stuck into the cozy coop? Yeah, those are my kids. Or the one with the pigtails because he thought it was hilarious. Yep, those are my kids. I don't want them posting to the stream. It fills it up with a bunch of nonsense. They can do that in Discord and TikTok and wherever else they want to do that. Not in my classroom. So we'll talk about that also. That limits so students don't flood it, and it keeps it to where it's good for you. I seriously hope we don't need this, but we all know we're going to need it, at least in small part. Meet links. You get a student who gets quarantined or they're just sick. I had a student last year right at the end of the school year in an AP class, and the 2 weeks before we're reviewing for the AP exam, poor kid got mono, right? And he had to be in my Google Meet for 2 weeks straight because he had mono. Bless his heart, he actually showed up. He did the best that he could to pay attention, despite how rough mono can be for people in general. But if that Google Meet link isn't there, they don't have a way to join your classroom. Now, me personally, I put up my Google Meet every single day. I record every one of my classes, and I am extremely OCD. I renamed them all 01. This is what I did today. 02. This is what I did the next day. And let me tell you, since I was not planning on I was not planning on missing an entire first semester, that has been a godsend for those who are filling in my classes. They've been able to watch exactly how I presented class, so they know what they're doing. This is also really super useful for your kids are unexpectedly missing class. You can always say, the Google Meet is recorded. Go see what you missed. You get your overachieving students. They want to go home. And as soon as they get home, they're trying to do their homework and they don't remember how we did it in class. Well, if you've made your Google Meet something that you record every day, they go home. They can rewatch parts of class and say, this is what we did. Now I know what I'm doing and I'm good to go. So just a little thing to kind of get people to do Google Meet links and record your Google Meet recordings. It's very important. They will probably be used in some capacity again this year because that stupid thing called COVID still hasn't quite gone away. Okay. All right. So let's go back to the first one. Renaming your course. Again, it comes in as something strange. Like, for example, mine is PLW 125, OCTC, Principles of Engineering. It's this really nasty, long name that there's a whole bunch of reason why it's named exactly the way it's named, right? What do I do first? The very first thing I do is I give it a name that says, what class is it? It's first block, first semester. That's how I started off, because this is going to help my students organize their Google Classroom. It's going to help me keep it organized. I can see when first block is. I can see that this was my first semester first block versus second semester first block. What's the course? I give a brief description. I'm the teacher. I put my name in parentheses. This helps your students and it helps you too. Class description is something that you can also change if you want to give a better description of what it is. But that section number is something that we've kind of gone back and forth on. Leave it alone for now. That right now on the screen, you may not be able to see it. Right now it says section 3. Don't mess with that. I think that is still having weird issues with linking classes with grade books and also with our rosters. So leave section alone, but change the name, change the description, all you want to. Put your room number on there if you want to. Put a subject on there if you want to. Change whatever else you want. Leave section alone. Okay. Now, when it comes time to linking it, right? This is your Google Classroom gradebook being linked to your Infinite Campus gradebook. If you want to do this, which I promise you do, the first thing you have to do is while you're in those settings, open a new tab, go to Infinite Campus, check your rosters, and pay attention to the section drop down. So for example, here's my first period class from last year. I didn't update the graphic. Whoops. It's 9350, which means it's an OCTC class, PLW, which is Project Lead the Way, blah, blah, blah. What am I looking at? There's a lot of stuff in here. Well, I went ahead and picked a different one anyway, because this is more along the lines of what your alls will look like. This was my fourth period class last year. It starts off 9215. That is the course number. That is something that will make sense to guidance. That's something that makes sense to me if I have to look at the back end of how Infinite Campus is set up. This is the course number. Now, whatever comes after that dash is your section of that course. You may not be the only geometry teacher in the building. There may be 5 geometry teachers teaching 3 sections each. I don't think we have 15 geometry classes, but you never know. Which section number is it of that course number? Those are important things. And then, of course, what was the name listed out to the right? No big deal. When you are in settings in Google Classroom, so switching back to the Google Classroom tab. Again, I know this is really fast. It's a video. It's recorded. You can rewatch later. Scroll down. There's going to be an option, a little link to class button or hyperlink. When you click it, it's going to give you this long list. This is why it was important to look at Infinite Campus to know what is your course number and what is your section number. So in particular, for my first 9 weeks, my 4th period class last year was 9215-4 project-based programming. There it is. Now I know I've selected the right one. All right, still scrolling down. Who can post in the stream? You're going to want to change this to be only teachers, and you're going to want to change it to hide notifications on classwork. If you don't click on hide notifications for classwork, every time you post an assignment, it's going to fill in the stream. You don't want that. It's duplicating, excuse me, what you're already doing. The Google Meet link is the next thing that we want to look at. We're still scrolling down in Google Classroom settings. This is how we're going to get that Meet link so that our students can see it, so that we can record, so that we can do all those things that we need to do. Just click Generate Meet Link, and then make sure it did actually default to visible to students. That way they have access. We can record, everything set up. Pretty simple. Okay. What if, and this happens last year, this happened last year, somehow our students were hijacking our Google Meets. We don't know how. If they would just put half as much effort into being annoying as they would to actually doing their work, we'd all have straight A students. But somehow they were hijacking our Google Meets, and we needed to, quote unquote, reset your Google Meet. Should you ever be asked to do that, go to your settings, find the Google Meet, click the drop down, and there the second option is reset. Okay, GradeCam. GradeCam is something that is, well, in short, a better assessment tool than Google Forms. Google Forms is okay for certain things. When it comes to assessments, it's really just not even okay. It's just kind of minorly there. There are so many better options to use, and we are paying for GradeCam. So what is so special about GradeCam? The short version is GradeCam allows you to develop whatever assessment type you want with multiple choice questions, and as long as they're choosing A, B, C, or D, or E, if you have 5 options, then you can hold up a Scantron style sheet to your computer. It automatically grades, and it's instant. Okay, it's way better. It integrates with Infinite Campus. So in other words, when you're finished and you've put this in and you've gone and you've scanned every one of your little Scantrons to your laptop or your computer or whatever, you hit a button and it transfers all your grades over to Infinite Campus. Now, again, some of these details we're going to get later. Other options of what's good about GradeCam, it's great for retesting purposes. You can retest with GradeCam. You can create alternative assessments where all you're doing is just rearranging the questions or rearranging the answers, or maybe using alternate versions of the questions. Retesting options are great. I personally use some other ones that are not as well known. For example, I use Canvas, kind of like Moodle. For those of you who have been here long enough to remember Moodle, it's like Moodle, but better even. But the only problem is it's only good for one course. Well, I only needed it for one course, and I've been using it so long, for some reason they gave me 2, which is great for me. But whatever. It's also really good for hybrid situations because it is something that can be accessed without physical paper pencil. You can upload PDFs. They can do it within GradeCam itself. And it's something that they can do while they're at home. God forbid we get stuck in hybrid again. But wait, there's more, just not today. Again, this is something that is still in use by some people in the school building. There will be more information about GradeCam later, again, when there's more information for that. Okay. Digital citizenship. How many people have fallen asleep yet? Okay. We got them. They're awake. Good. Listen up. Digital citizenship is important. You may remember this as DDL or digital driver's license. Last year it changed to just flat out digital citizenship, a reminder that this is something we will be doing during homeroom, and it is required. It's there will be simple instructions as to how to do it, as to what happens if a student is absent, how do you keep up with it. Guidance is going to help keep up with this. It's a big thing. It is federally mandated. This is how we get our money for all of our technology. And if we don't do it, we don't get the money. That means no Chromebooks, no TVs, no laptops, no any technology that any of us are getting throughout the school building. So it is extremely important that we actually take the time. I have freshmen. Yeah, I know. They're hard to get to make do this. I get it. Make them do it anyway. If you have to sit literally in their lap and say, "Hey, how you doing, little Johnny? You need to finish your digital citizenship," then do it. Whatever it takes to get them to actually answer these digital citizenship questions, it should be something they can complete in just one homeroom. I promise. But we have to get it done. It is important. As we get closer to when we do digital citizenship, I'll send out some more information on this. I promise it's easy. Okay. CDC is not the one that decides whether or not school gets to happen or not. Classroom display computers. There was a yearly meeting for all school technology coordinators or learning management specialists, library media specialists, whatever the LMS stood for. Those people had to go and meet and be reminded of very important things. CDCs, or classroom display computers, what are they? Those are those machines that are in the rooms that are connected to the TVs. They are what allow you with your Chromebook or your device to be able to Chromecast to that TV in your room. That CDC, that ancient dinosaur of a laptop that's in there, is supposed to stay exactly where it is. It's not to be used as a mobile device. Even if you're a co-teacher, you don't get to pick it up and take it out of the room and go somewhere. If you're the main teacher, doesn't matter. It's not yours. It belongs to the room. It's part of the system. It needs to stay exactly where it is. They don't need to go home. They don't need to go anywhere. They stay right where they are all day, every day, always logged in with the CDC account. Don't log in as you. I know that's annoying, but we're talking about Windows, not Chrome. You can still log into Chrome as you, but you need to log into the machine in Windows as the CDC account for everything to work properly. Okay. So last thing, light speed microphones. Light speed microphones are those wonderful things that is your classroom audio system for most of the classrooms that are really old and still need to be updated, but they're still there. It's that little lanyard style microphone you hang around your neck and you can talk into it, and it comes out that little terrible speaker in the ceiling. Some people love it, especially in the elementary levels. They absolutely love it. What's interesting is those things are so old that our district can't get any replacements for them anymore. And they're not cheap. They're like $1,000 each. It's ridiculous. So if you have one in your room and you're not using it, or you don't plan to ever use it, pretty please take it to take it to Tony and help desk and let him redistribute it, or parts of it even. So even if you're only not using the microphone, right? Anything you can do to help out with that, please talk to Tony. If you're not going to use it, they need those things. If you are using it, great. Please continue to use it. But an extremely important thing, the little bitty lanyard microphone has to have rechargeable batteries only. They're insistent upon this. Do not go and put just regular Duracell batteries in there. They say that fries them, and once they're dead, there are no replacements. Make sure you're using only the rechargeable batteries that you get from maintenance. Okay. If you don't know how to get those from maintenance, go see Becky Burton. She'll help you out. Okay. Now, all in all, I may not physically be there, but I am still available. As I mentioned earlier, I get bored very easily. I don't like to sit around and not do anything. So I'm going to be as busy as possible. Email me, text me, whatever. I'm around. You have questions, just bring it.